For centuries, the Stoics mastered the art of self-control and emotional balance, applying their principles to every aspect of life, including relationships. They understood human psychology long before modern science gave it a name, especially the intricate dance of attraction. When a woman pulls away, many men panic, leading them to make critical mistakes that only push her further. But what if we approached this situation with stoic calm, restraint, and understanding? In this episode, we'll dive deep into the 7 biggest mistakes 99% of men make when a woman pulls away, and more importantly, how you can avoid them. Remember, this isn't about manipulation or games, but about embracing emotional strength and wisdom. Watch this video until the end, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your own stories in the comments if you faced similar challenges. Let's get into it. Chapter 1. Don't simp, it's not the answer. The first, and perhaps the most common, mistake men make when a woman pulls away is simping. It's a term that's become popular in modern dating culture, and it refers to excessive attention or subservience in the hopes of winning her favor. When a guy senses that she's losing interest or pulling back, his knee-jerk reaction is often to shower her with compliments, gifts, and non-stop attention. The problem? This behavior doesn't come across as caring or romantic. It screams desperation and neediness, which is exactly the opposite of what she's looking for. From a Stoic perspective, this is a failure of self-control. The Stoics preached restraint and measured action, avoiding extremes and impulses that arise from fear. When a woman begins to pull away, many men react out of fear, the fear of losing her. This panic-driven response causes them to overcompensate with affection, thinking they can somehow fix the situation by doing more. However, the truth is, the more you cling to her, the more she will instinctively want to distance herself. Why? Because your neediness devalues your worth. By acting this way, you're signaling to her that her approval and validation matter more to you than your own self-respect. You are, in essence, putting her on a pedestal while simultaneously diminishing your own value. The Stoics would never approve of such behavior because it represents a loss of emotional balance. Instead, they would advise you to remain calm, grounded, and steady in the face of uncertainty. When she pulls away, don't let it rattle you. Stay centered in who you are. The more secure you are in yourself, the more attractive you become. Confidence, not desperation, is what draws women in. She'll respect your ability to stand firm and maintain composure, even when the relationship feels uncertain or threatened. And this calm self-assurance is something she will find deeply compelling, especially in a moment when most men would lose control. Here's where most men go wrong. They believe that by doing more, texting more, calling more, planning extravagant dates, they can somehow reverse the growing distance between them and the woman. What they don't realize is that this behavior is actually reinforcing the gap. Women don't want a man who's too eager to please, and they definitely don't want a man who's willing to sacrifice his own dignity in the process. They're drawn to men who are confident enough in their own value that they don't need to chase relentlessly. Chasing conveys insecurity and a lack of self-worth. Think about it in terms of supply and demand. When something becomes too readily available, its perceived value drops. If you're always available, always responding immediately, always lavishing her with attention, she will start to take you for granted. But if you pull back, maintain your distance, and let her come to you, she will begin to see you as more valuable. This dynamic plays into the concept of scarcity. A man who knows his worth doesn't overextend himself for anyone. He allows space for the woman to appreciate him rather than smothering her with attention. Women, just like men, are drawn to mystery and challenge. The moment you start simping, offering her everything on a silver platter, you've eliminated any challenge. There's no mystery, no intrigue, no chase left for her to enjoy. By simping, you're doing her emotional work for her, and in turn, she loses interest. The chase is a natural part of attraction, and when you take that away by throwing yourself at her feet, you become less attractive. Instead, practice emotional discipline. Don't rush to fill the gap when she pulls away. Let her miss your presence. Let her feel the absence of your attention. When she sees that you're not bending over backward to win her favor, it will intrigue her. She'll start to wonder why you're not reacting like other men do. She'll question whether she's misread you, and that curiosity can reignite her interest in you. In short, stop simping. The key to maintaining attraction, especially when she's pulling away, is to stand firm in your own value. Don't panic. Don't cling. Don't overwhelm her with attention in the hopes of pulling her back in. Show her that you're a man who doesn't need to chase. Show her that you're a man who is confident, composed, and in control of his emotions. In doing so, you'll set yourself apart from the 99% of men who make the mistake of simping when a woman pulls away. She'll respect you more, and she might just come running back, realizing that you're not the kind of man who can be easily swayed. The Stoics believed that true power lies in self-control, and in relationships, this couldn't be more true. If you want her to respect and value you, you must first respect and value yourself. Chapter 2. Don't confess in desperation. Timing is everything. When a woman pulls away, another common mistake men make is to suddenly spill their heart out in desperation. Feeling the distance, many guys believe that a grand, emotional confession will somehow reignite the spark and bring her back. They think that by laying it all on the line, by professing their undying love, she will realize how much she means to them and come running back. But the truth? This rarely works, and more often than not, it backfires spectacularly. The Stoics were masters of timing and restraint. They understood that emotions should not dictate actions. When you confess your feelings out of desperation, what you're really doing is seeking reassurance. You want her to close the gap, to eliminate the distance by responding positively to your emotional outpouring. But here's the problem, that kind of confession only works when it's made from a place of strength, not weakness. When you're confessing because you feel like you're losing her, it sends a clear message of insecurity. And insecurity is not attractive. When she pulls away, your instinct might be to chase her with your words, telling her how much you care, how much you miss her, and how you can't live without her. But that's not going to make her see your value. In fact, it does the opposite. It paints you as a man who is emotionally dependent on her, someone who is clinging to the relationship out of fear of being alone. The Stoics would caution against such impulsive displays of emotion. They would advise you to take a step back, assess the situation calmly, and allow things to unfold without trying to force a resolution. Here's the thing, timing is everything. If she's pulling away, it means she's already questioning the relationship or her attraction to you. Throwing a desperate confession at her only adds pressure, and when people feel pressured, their instinct is to retreat even further. It's basic human psychology. She doesn't want to feel overwhelmed by your emotions, especially if she's unsure about her own. By confessing at the wrong time, you're putting her in a position where she has to respond either by reciprocating feelings she might not fully have or by distancing herself even more to avoid hurting you. The better approach is to remain calm and composed. Just because she's pulling away doesn't mean she's gone forever. People need space sometimes to sort out their emotions, and by giving her that space, you're showing that you're confident in your own worth. The Stoics understood that you cannot control the actions or emotions of others, only your own. By maintaining your emotional balance, you're sending the message that you're a man who doesn't crumble under pressure, who doesn't feel the need to rush into emotional declarations out of fear. Think about it this way: if your confession is truly meaningful, it can wait. If your feelings are real and strong, they will stand the test of time. There's no need to spill them out in a moment of panic. When she's ready, when the time is right, those words will have far more impact. Confessions of love or strong feelings should come from a place of confidence, not desperation. If you express them too soon, especially when she's pulling away, it's likely to be met with rejection or discomfort. Instead of confessing, focus on yourself. Focus on maintaining your composure and showing her that you're not rattled by the distance she's creating. This is the ultimate power move. When she sees that you're not falling apart, that you're not trying to force her to stay by using your emotions as leverage, it will intrigue her. She'll wonder why you're so calm, why you're not reacting like other men. And that curiosity can work in your favor. The Stoics taught that true strength lies in restraint. Don't confess your feelings in a moment of emotional weakness. Hold back, be patient, and let things unfold naturally. By doing so, you'll come across as emotionally mature, secure, and infinitely more attractive than the guy who spills his heart out at the first sign of trouble. Let her come to you when she's ready. Chapter 3. Don't get angry, stay calm and collected. Anger is another common reaction when a woman pulls away. You've invested time and energy into the relationship, and now, without warning, she seems distant. It's natural to feel frustrated or hurt, but here's the key: anger is never the answer. Reacting with anger not only pushes her further away but also shows a lack of emotional control, something the Stoics would strongly advise against. The Stoics valued emotional discipline above all else. They believed that while emotions are inevitable, how you respond to them defines your character. When you get angry at a woman for pulling away, what you're really doing is letting her actions dictate your emotions. You're giving her power over your state of mind. And let's be clear, women are not attracted to men who lose control of their emotions, especially when things get tough. Think about it from her perspective. She's already pulling away, perhaps because she needs space or is questioning her feelings. If you respond with anger, what are you communicating? You're telling her that her actions control you, that you can't handle the uncertainty without lashing out. This doesn't make her feel closer to you, it makes her feel justified in pulling away. No one wants to be around someone who gets angry the moment things don't go their way. Instead of reacting with anger, respond with calmness. The Stoics believed in controlling the things within your power and accepting the things you cannot control. You can't control her actions or emotions, but you can control how you respond to them. By staying calm and collected, you're showing her that you're not shaken by her pulling away. You're showing her that you're a man who can handle emotional turbulence without losing your cool. Anger is a sign of weakness, not strength. It shows that you're insecure about the situation and that you're trying to force a reaction from her. The more you try to force her back through anger or frustration, the more you'll drive her away. But when you remain calm, when you show her that you're not fazed by her pulling away, you become infinitely more attractive. She'll see that you're not like other men who crumble under pressure, and that calmness will make her question her decision to pull away. In relationships, anger only serves to create more distance. By staying calm and maintaining your emotional control, you're showing her that you're strong enough to weather the storm without resorting to emotional outbursts. And that strength is something she'll respect and admire. The Stoics taught that power lies in self-mastery, and nowhere is this more true than in relationships. Chapter 4. Don't be apologetic, you're not at fault, and you don't owe her an apology. When a woman pulls away, many men fall into the trap of apologizing for things that they haven't done. They'll apologize for being too available, for not texting enough, for being too distant, for texting too much, or for being too close. This pattern of over-apologizing is rooted in insecurity and fear of losing her, but this is exactly the wrong approach. You're trying to fix something that isn't necessarily broken, and by doing so, you're reinforcing the very reason she's pulling away. Let's break this down. When you apologize excessively, especially for things you're not even sure you did wrong, you're signaling that her pulling away is your fault, and that's a massive mistake. Apologies are meant to be reserved for situations where you've genuinely done something wrong, not as a blanket reaction to tension in a relationship. By apologizing for her pulling away, you're implicitly telling her that you're willing to take responsibility for her emotions, and that is not only unnecessary, it's detrimental. The Stoics had a deep understanding of the importance of personal responsibility and accountability, but they also taught that you cannot control others' emotions or actions. Her pulling away is her choice, based on her own feelings, insecurities, or situations, and often has little to do with you. By apologizing, you're taking on the weight of her emotional state as if it's something you have caused, which shows a lack of self-confidence and an inability to separate your own feelings from hers. Women, like men, are attracted to strength, confidence, and certainty, and nothing projects weakness more than over-apologizing. It tells her that you're unsure of yourself, unsure of your value, and that you're desperate to win back her approval. Apologizing when you're not wrong can make her feel as if you're too easily swayed, and as if you're constantly looking for validation. This is the fastest way to lose her respect, and once respect is lost, attraction usually follows. Let's get practical here. If she's pulling away, the worst thing you can do is immediately start apologizing. It gives off a sense of guilt and responsibility that isn't yours to bear. Instead, take a step back and ask yourself if you've genuinely done something that warrants an apology. If not, hold your ground. By not apologizing, you're showing her that you respect yourself enough to stand firm in your actions and decisions. And that kind of self-assurance is attractive. Confidence is key. The more you demonstrate that you're not fazed by her emotional shifts, the more she'll see you as a stable force in her life. Apologizing unnecessarily only destabilizes that perception, making you seem insecure and emotionally dependent. But by staying calm and composed, you communicate that her pulling away doesn't shake you, and that you have faith in who you are and what you bring to the table. Additionally, over-apologizing shifts the power dynamic in the relationship. When you apologize too much, you put her in a position of control, allowing her to dictate the emotional landscape. Suddenly, the relationship becomes about you trying to make up for something she hasn't even explicitly asked for. This imbalance creates a toxic dynamic where she starts to expect you to make concessions and feel guilty for things beyond your control. Remember, apologies should only be given when they are deserved, and in this case, her pulling away is not your fault. The Stoics would remind you that you are responsible only for your own actions, not how she interprets them or reacts to them. By not apologizing for her pulling away, you maintain your self-respect and dignity, which in turn makes you more attractive in her eyes. In conclusion, don't apologize for things you didn't do. Don't take on the emotional burden of her pulling away. Instead, stand firm in your actions, knowing that you haven't done anything wrong. This kind of calm, composed, and self-assured approach is far more appealing to a woman than groveling for her attention. The Stoics believed in strength through restraint, and this is exactly what you need to practice here. Chapter 5. Don't question your self-worth. It's not about you, it's about her. When a woman pulls away, one of the most common and destructive mistakes men make is to start questioning their own self-worth. You might ask yourself, what did I do wrong? Why am I not good enough? What's wrong with me? But here's the truth that most men miss, it's not about you. More often than not, when a woman pulls away, it has very little to do with who you are and everything to do with what's going on in her mind. It's human nature to internalize rejection and interpret it as a reflection of our own shortcomings. But the Stoics teach us to understand that external events, like someone pulling away, should not dictate our internal sense of self-worth. Your value does not come from her attention or affection. You are valuable and worthy, regardless of how she behaves. The Stoics emphasized that we cannot control the actions of others, only how we respond to them, and this is where your focus should lie. When a woman pulls away, it's often due to her own internal struggles, doubts, or confusion. She may be dealing with emotional baggage, insecurities, or uncertainties about what she wants in life or in a relationship. None of these factors reflect poorly on you. By questioning your self-worth, you're allowing her emotional state to have power over how you view yourself, and that is a mistake. Your self-worth should be rooted in who you are, not in how others perceive you. The Stoics believe that a person's true strength comes from within, not from the validation or approval of others. When you question your self-worth because she's pulling away, you're essentially handing over control of your emotions to her. You're allowing her actions to dictate how you feel about yourself, and that is not the mindset of a confident, self-assured man. Here's where many men falter. They tie their sense of self-worth to how women react to them. When a woman is showing interest, they feel great about themselves. But the moment she starts pulling away, they begin to doubt their value. This is a dangerous mindset to have because it makes you emotionally dependent on her attention and affection for your happiness. And emotional dependency is one of the biggest turn-offs for women. Women are attracted to men who know their own value, men who don't crumble when things get tough. When you maintain your sense of self-worth, even when she's pulling away, you show her that you're not emotionally swayed by her actions. You demonstrate that you have the confidence and emotional stability to handle whatever comes your way. This is far more attractive than a man who spirals into self-doubt and insecurity at the first sign of trouble. The Stoics would advise you to focus on what you can control, your own thoughts, actions, and emotions. If she's pulling away, that's her choice and her issue to deal with. Your job is to remain grounded in who you are, to remember that your value does not come from her approval. By doing this, you are not only protecting your own emotional well-being, But you're also showing her that you're the kind of man who doesn't lose sight of his worth just because the relationship is going through a rough patch. When you stop questioning your self-worth, you also stop giving her power over your emotions. You become emotionally self-sufficient, which is an incredibly attractive quality. Women don't want to be with someone who needs constant validation. They want someone who is sure of himself, regardless of what happens in the relationship. In conclusion, when she pulls away, it's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of her own internal struggles. Your value remains the same, whether she's fully invested or pulling back. By not questioning your self-worth, you're showing her that you're a man who knows what he brings to the table, and that's far more appealing than someone who falls apart at the first sign of trouble. The Stoics would remind you that true strength comes from within, and that includes the strength to know your own value, even when others don't see it. Stay grounded in who you are, and you'll not only maintain your self-respect, but you'll also become the kind of man she realizes she can't afford to lose. Chapter 6. Don't try to fill the silence. Let her feel the distance. When a woman pulls away, many men feel the urge to fill the gap with constant communication, thinking that staying in touch will keep the connection alive. They bombard her with texts, calls, or messages to check in, trying to bridge the emotional distance she's created. This need to fill the silence, however, is another mistake that drives her further away. The truth is, silence can be one of your greatest tools if used wisely. The Stoics believed in the power of silence. They taught that sometimes the best action is inaction, that not every situation requires you to intervene. This principle applies perfectly to relationships. When she pulls away, filling the silence only shows her that you're uncomfortable with the distance, and it signals that you're afraid of losing her. But when you embrace the silence and let her feel the distance, you're showing her that you're not dependent on constant communication to maintain your confidence. Here's why this works. When a woman pulls away, she's often testing the waters, either consciously or subconsciously. She's seeing how much space she can create before you react. If you immediately jump to fill that space, it shows her that you're overly invested and uncomfortable with the uncertainty. But if you allow the distance to exist, if you give her room without chasing, she's forced to sit with her own thoughts and feelings. This is where the real power of silence comes in. The more you refrain from filling the gap, the more she'll begin to feel the weight of that silence. She'll start to wonder why you're not reacting, why you're not reaching out like other guys would. And that curiosity can quickly turn into longing. By not rushing to fill the void, you're giving her time to reflect on the connection, and that reflection can make her miss you far more than any text or call ever could. But it's important to note that silence doesn't mean you disappear completely. It's about balance. You're not ignoring her forever, but you're also not chasing her every time she pulls away. You're giving her space, but you're still present in your own life, showing that you're not dependent on her for your happiness or sense of self-worth. The Stoics believed that patience is a virtue, and that applies here as well. You need to be patient and trust the process. Don't panic just because there's a gap in communication. Let her feel the space, let her sit with her own thoughts, and in time, she'll begin to miss the connection you had. Silence can be uncomfortable for both parties, but it's in that discomfort that true emotions are revealed. By holding back, by not trying to fill the silence with words or actions, you're allowing her to come to her own conclusions. And if the connection was real, if there was something meaningful between you, she will come back on her own. And when she does, she'll come back with a stronger appreciation for what you had. She'll realize that you're not like the other men who are afraid of silence or emotional distance, and that makes you stand out. In relationships, it's often the moments of silence that speak the loudest. The Stoics knew that sometimes the most powerful move is to do nothing at all. Don't be afraid of the quiet, embrace it. Let her feel the distance, and in time, she'll realize what she's missing. Chapter 7. Don't lose your identity, stay true to yourself. One of the biggest mistakes men make when a woman pulls away is that they lose themselves in the process. They become so focused on trying to win her back or understand what went wrong that they forget about their own identity. They change their behavior, their interests, even their personality in an attempt to be what they think she wants. But this is a recipe for disaster. The Stoics were adamant about staying true to one's own nature. They believed that a person's character and values should never be compromised, regardless of external circumstances. When a woman pulls away, it's easy to start questioning yourself, to wonder if you need to change in order to get her back. But the moment you start changing who you are to please someone else, you lose your authenticity, and once that's gone, attraction often follows. Women are drawn to men who have a strong sense of self. They don't want someone who's willing to mold themselves to fit their every whim. In fact, the moment a man starts altering his behavior to keep a woman interested, he loses the very qualities that made him attractive in the first place. Women want a man who is secure in who he is, someone who doesn't lose sight of his identity just because the relationship hits a rough patch. This is where most men go wrong. When a woman pulls away, instead of staying grounded in their own identity, they start acting differently. Maybe they become more passive, more agreeable, or they suddenly start adopting her hobbies and interests to re-engage her. But this only makes things worse. Women can sense when a man is not being genuine, and nothing kills attraction faster than a lack of authenticity. The Stoics taught the importance of self-reliance, the idea that your happiness and sense of self-worth should come from within, not from external validation. When you lose yourself in an attempt to win her back, you're essentially handing over control of your identity to her. You're telling her, "I'm willing to change who I am just to keep you around." And that's not attractive. In fact, it's a huge turn-off. Instead of losing yourself in the process, stay true to who you are. Keep doing the things you love, maintain your own friendships, and continue pursuing your goals. Show her that your life doesn't revolve around her, and that you're not going to change who you are just because she's pulling away. This doesn't mean you should be rigid or unwilling to compromise in a relationship, but it does mean that you shouldn't abandon your core values or personality in a bid to keep her around. The moment you start living for her, instead of for yourself, you lose your power. And once you lose that power, the dynamic of the relationship shifts in a way that is hard to recover from. But when you stay true to yourself, when you continue to be the man she was originally attracted to, you give her a reason to come back. She'll see that you're not easily swayed by emotional ups and downs, and that strength of character will draw her back in. The Stoics understood that life is full of challenges, especially in relationships. But they also knew that the key to overcoming those challenges is to remain true to oneself. When you hold on to your identity, even in the face of uncertainty, you're showing her that you're a man of substance, a man who doesn't crumble under pressure or change himself just to win someone's approval. In the end, the most attractive thing you can do when she pulls away is to remain unwavering in your sense of self. Stay true to who you are, maintain your confidence, and let her see that you're not going to lose yourself just because things are tough. That strength will make her realize what she's missing, and when she comes back, she'll be coming back to the man she was originally drawn to, the man who never lost sight of his own value. When a woman pulls away, the natural reaction is often to panic, chase, or try to fix the situation. But as the Stoics taught us, true strength comes from restraint, emotional control, and staying true to oneself. By avoiding these common mistakes, simping, confessing in desperation, losing your temper, apologizing unnecessarily, questioning your self-worth, filling the silence, and losing your identity, you're not only protecting yourself, but also increasing your attractiveness. Remember, relationships are a balance of power, and the moment you lose control of your emotions, you lose that balance. By staying calm, confident, and centered, you show her that you're a man who doesn't fall apart when things get tough, a man who's worth coming back to. Now, if you've made any of these mistakes before, don't worry, it's never too late to turn things around. Embrace the Stoic mindset, and you'll find that not only will your relationships improve, but so will your overall sense of self-worth and emotional resilience. So, avoid these 7 mistakes, and you'll be amazed at how quickly the dynamic shifts in your favor.